If you look up the founders of Snapchat today, you'll see two names, Evan Spiegel and Bobby Murphy. Both are multi-billionaires, tech royalty, and household names. But there's a third founder, a guy who actually came up with the idea. The guy who literally hand drew the famous Ghost logo on a piece of scratch paper. His name is Reggie Brown, and in the summer of 2011, his two best friends did the unthinkable. They changed the passwords, locked him out of the servers, and pretended he never existed. This is the story of how a college brotherhood turned into a cutthroat digital heist, and how the forgotten founder found his way to claim back a massive $157 million payout. Welcome back to Drama Raider. Let's get into it. To understand how this betrayal went down, we have to travel back to 2011. The setting is Stanford University, specifically the Kappa Sigma fraternity house. Our story starts with three guys. First, you have Evan Spiegel. Evan was the definition of privilege. Ambitious, highly charismatic, and born into a wealthy family of LA lawyers. He was the business-minded frontman. Then, there was Bobby Murphy. Bobby was a quiet genius. He spent all his nights staring at lines of code, preferring to stay out of the spotlight while building things that actually worked. And finally, we have Reggie Brown. Reggie was a creative, laid-back English major. He and Evan were close friends who constantly dreamed of making it big in Silicon Valley. One afternoon, Reggie was talking about a photo he regretted sending. He muttered to Evan, "I wish there was an app where you could send photos that disappeared forever." According to court documents, Evan's eyes lit up. He called it a multi-million-dollar idea. But because neither of them knew how to code, they pitched the concept to Bobby Murphy. The trio was officially born. Chapter 2: The Birth of Picabo. They called the prototype app Picabo. Bobby did the heavy lifting, writing the code. Evan handled the business strategy. Reggie acted as the creative director. In fact, Reggie sat down and drew the very first draft of the app's mascot, a smiling cartoon ghost on a bright yellow background. They named him Ghostface Chilla after the Wu-Tang Clan member. During the summer of 2011, the three friends lived at Evan's dad's house in Los Angeles to work day and night on the app. When they finally launched Picabo on the iOS App Store, it was a complete flop. Hardly anyone downloaded it. Classmates laughed at the idea, saying it was only useful for sending sketchy photos. As the summer wound down, the app slowly started to gain a tiny bit of attraction. And with that tiny bit of success came a massive wave of attention. Like most college startups, the guys didn't have a formal written contract. They operated on handshakes. But Reggie wanted to make sure his contribution, the original idea, was legally protected. He asked for a 30% share of the company. On August 16th, 2011, the three had a phone call to discuss how the company's equity would be split. It quickly developed into a screaming match. Evan and Bobby argued that Reggie hadn't done enough coding or technical work to deserve 30%. Reggie argued that without his concept and his logo, there would be no company. Evan got so angry he reportedly hung up the phone. The friendship was over. But what happened next was downright ruthless. That night, Bobby Murphy logged into the administrative services. He systematically changed the password to the database, the hosting accounts, and the company emails. When Reggie woke up the next morning and tried to log in, he got an error message, incorrect password. He was completely locked out of his own creation. Chapter 4: Erasing the Ghost. A month after locking Reggie out, Evan and Bobby rebranded the app to Snapchat, and suddenly the app exploded. High schoolers California obsessed over it because they could send silly, unedited photos that the parents couldn't track. By 2012, Snapchat was processing millions of snaps a day. Even Spy Joe was on the cover of magazines. He was hailed as the next tech prodigy. Whenever reporters asked how he came up with the idea, Evan spun a story about how he and Bobby wanted a better way to send photos to girls. Reggie's name was completely erased. He was treated like a ghost. But while Reggie watched his former best friends become overnight billionaires, he was quietly building a legal case. And he had something Evan and Bobby didn't think he kept. He had the receipts. Chapter 5. The $157 million receipt. In 2013, Reggie hit them with a massive lawsuit for fraud and breach of partnership. Snapchat's high-priced lawyers tried to play tough, claiming that Reggie was just an opportunistic classmate looking for a handout. But then Reggie's team produced early emails from the summer of 2011. In one email, Evan Spigel literally wrote to a friend, Reggie came up with the idea of disappearing photos. I told him it was $1 million idea. During a video depositation, Evan was forced to sit in a room under oath. When asked if Reggie's story was true, Evan had to admit, under penalty of perjury, that Reggie did indeed come up with the core concept. The image of a clean, two-man genius startup was shattered. If this went to a public trial, it would ruin Snapchat's upcoming plans to go public on the stock market, so they settled. In 2014, Snapchat quietly paid Reggie Brown a staggering $157.5 million in cash to walk away forever and finally acknowledge him as a co-creator. At the end of the day, every execution is everything. Evan and Bobby built the empire, but trust is the ultimate currency. Evan and Bobby tried to play the ultimate game of digital logout, but the bill eventually came due. Whose side are you on? Did Reggie get a fair deal? Or did he deserve more of Snapchat's billion? Let me know in the comments. This is Drama Radar, and we'll see you on the next scan.